let's make a beautiful skirt steak served with a chimichurri sauce. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prep the steak. Now you want to use an outside skirt. Okay, why is that? Because the outside skirt is much thicker and much more tender than the inside skirt. You know, the inside skirt's a really thin cut, and it is pretty chewy. So it's going to be difficult to cook it to a reasonable cook. Also, it's going to want to cook really quickly and overcook. So this is what you want. This is an outside skirt. Take a look at it. There we go. All right, and because the chimichurri sauce is going to be the starry flavor, you want to keep the steak seasoning itself very simple. So you notice I just put salt and pepper, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this here vacuum bag, and I'm going to vacuum seal it here. Now, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, you can do this in a Ziploc bag. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to season this the night before, because if I put it in a vacuum sealer, I'm going to be able to get those flavors in it. So either early in the morning or the night before. That's going to seal up. I'm going to put that in a water bath using an immersion circulator set at 120 degrees, and it's going to be there for at least 2 hours. If you're interested, see my episode 136 where I review reasonably priced immersion circulators for the home. On to the chimichurri. Okay, so the primary ingredients, in fact, the traditional and simple ingredients, the simplest version of a chimichurri, which is an Argentinian sauce, is just a few ingredients, really just 5. It's just parsley, olive oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper. Okay, but you can do a lot of different things with it. There's variations all over the place. This one is mine. You see, I chopped up the parsley really fine. Please don't use a food processor for this. Okay, you're making a nice little sauce. We're not making a pesto. So take the time to chop that up itself. And I've started here now. This is 2/3 of a cup of chopped parsley. I have 1/3 of a cup of the same type of chopped mint. I'm adding to that a 1/2 cup of olive oil, and you want to use a good quality olive oil because this is a sauce for you. You're not cooking any of this stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to have 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, and I'm going to put in a little bit of, this is about like a tablespoon of lemon juice. I did mention, by the way, that so you do end up with have olive oil and acid is the typical ingredients in a chimichurri. And here I've got this is a large garlic clove, minced very fine. Also, I've got 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to just put in a pinch. This is like truly optional, but I'm going to put in like a pinch of chili pepper flakes just to give it a little more. And I'm going to mix this up. And this is another thing that really needs to sit for a couple of hours. And you go, it's not super liquidy. The liquid in it, the vinegar, the oil, is just enough to really coat the parsley and the mint, the chopped up herbs. So I'm going to leave this for a couple hours. I'm going to put this in a water bath, like I said, in an immersion circulator bath for a couple of hours. And then we're going to come back and finish this whole thing up. So it's time to cook the steak. I took it out of the sous vide, took it out of the bag there, and I patted it dry because, of course, we want to sear it. We don't want to steam it. We're gonna need this. This is screaming hot. Notice I put a little bit of olive oil on, and I just stick it on here. And this is going to cook, really it's about 30 seconds on the side. And then we'll let it rest, and then we'll come back and give it a taste. So I gave it that hard sear to create the crust on it because it was already cooked, right? I mean, that's what you do when you use the immersion circulator. You're going to cut this now. You're going to slice it on the bias across the grain. And so I'm going to take the end off, take a couple of slices here. Let's see that color.
Beautiful.
Looks really nice. So I'm going to give you a piece, and I'm going to have a piece. And we'll put some of this beautiful green, bright green chimichurri on, so we can give it a taste. That's where a lot of the flavor comes from. Remember, I just seasoned the meat minimally.
It still had a beautiful meat texture, and you got that little bit of that sear taste with the acid and the herbs from the chimichurri. That's just a really great.
Yeah, I mean that's the general idea. The meat, right? It's a mineral, right? It's kind of like got this, and it's got the chard and this umami, and it's all that stuff, and it's fatty, right?
And it's fatty.
Right. So you bring the herbs,
Right.
the bright green herbs.
Bright, acidic.
Yep. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Yep. So it works, right? That's it, folks. Outside skirt steak made in the Argentinian style with some chimichurri. And we'll see you next time.